are back as the TTCGA kicks off the start of the King's Baton Relay celebration. You guys would have seen in the news where the official ceremony took place last night. And this morning, Diane Henderson, the president of the TNT Olympic Committee and the Commonwealth Games Association, rejoined us here on the morning show to give us some insights as to why this is such a magnificent deal. Good morning and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let me tell you thanks, because after the celebrations to be here now, I know it might be tough, but this is truly exciting.
It's not a carnival celebration. It's just a...
Hey, it might as well be. It's like they can't, or maybe like an all-inclusive situation, because this is a big deal. The Commonwealth Games altogether is always a big deal, and in terms of the passing of the baton, for those who are just watching the game and don't make the association, what is the significance? What is the, why is there a whole schedule and a whole formal, celebration behind it?
So, in the past, you would have recognized that there's one particular baton that goes from country to country. Post-COVID, of course, and the whole idea of sustainability. That's their key message this time for the Commonwealth Games 2026 in Glasgow. And what they've done is each of the 74 nations has its own baton. This came to us in plain ash wood, and we have each individually have the opportunity to be creative. So Trinidad and Tobago being the first country, in fact they do Caribbean first, and I believe since we were the host of the Youth Games in 2023, Trinidad 2023, we were chosen as the first country, of course, privileged to be the first host, and obviously to start the King's Baton Relay design trend, because then every country that follows is going to showcase theirs. So we're extremely proud of what came out of it. Kenneth Henry, the designer, encapsulated several aspects of, and if you mind, I will raise it here, several aspects of the thing. This side has a little bit of heritage, indigenous, the pan, music, some athletes. Of course. I know some of this has some blue in it, so in case you can't see it, but this is the brain coral, Tobago, palm, scarlet ibis, and the mangrove. Of course. So we have here some athletes again, the hummingbird, Trinity Hills. So they have quite a few aspects and
iconic parts of Trinidad. Iconic depictions of Trinidad and Tobago. A real beautiful site, and it's so beautiful and significant that it has its own schedule, so that we will see from Trinidad and Tobago another location.
Before we go off of that, Michael Phillips, three-time Commonwealth athlete, cyclist, did the artistry.
So we had a designer and a separate.
Of course, made it come to life on the baton. So yes, the schedule is today. Yesterday we had the actual reveal, official reveal at the British High Commission. Thank him for that, His Excellency John Dean. Today we start with the plastics cleanup at 9 o'clock at Invaders Bay foreshore, and that should take about 2 hours. We clean up, we measure or weigh the plastics, because the whole idea is that the Royal Society, they have collaborated with the Clean Oceans campaign. So the intention is that each country taking a part with this plastic cleanup will remove 1 million pieces of plastic throughout the entire year, coming back to next year, by next year, Glasgow, to remove plastics from the Commonwealth waterways. So we being the first, we have the opportunity, and I just want to mention that Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games Association, also as part of the Sport for Climate Action Framework signatory, we also are in a campaign of doing our environmental responsibility. So we had started this already, and we have a new intern that will be doing some research and work in it. So to see how can we be sustainable in all our events, and also with our sporting organizations, to actually implement certain initiatives throughout and going forward.
So that means then that we, the public, can get in on this action as well.
Of course.
Registration or anything necessary, or we just come out and support?
I think, for this week's purposes, just come out and join us today at Invaders Bay, as well as, I know it's late notice, but some people can.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday morning, we will be in Tobago for another cleanup in Tobago.
Now, granted that you mentioned your initiatives apart from this part of the relay, are these some of the changes that have happened in the CWG that you were referring to, or are there additional changes that we can look forward to?
Right, so some of the additional changes were in celebrating Commonwealth Day on Monday gone. They announced the change of their branding from Commonwealth Games Federation to Commonwealth Sport.
Okay.
It's now moved from a federation to a sport movement. So eventually I believe that each of the nations will change from Games Association to Commonwealth Sport.
Okay.
Additionally, the campaign is a more common, united front. So more common. So yes, it's the whole idea is the commonwealth, and it's a more common and on common ground. So we all have, although we have differences, we have common similarities, if you want to call it that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Very unifying, yeah, I get it. Because in terms of the Commonwealth Games, because it's said so much, it may lose its essence, but that commonality, that inclusivity, I guess, is what we're going after. And in that case, we get it. Now, in terms of factors, if anything, from the previous games that we have learned or taken, that we will see coming forward in agreements for the new one. I'll say that again because I'm thinking way ahead of myself. We had a lot of learnings coming out of hosting previously. We have a lot of aspirations and intentions going ahead. So when we look at the Commonwealth Games, the passing of the baton, it signifies the start. What can we look forward to?
In terms of the games itself? The first thing is that the Commonwealth Games Glasgow 2026, there was a lot of transference, transition, discussion in terms of, because that came out of the pull-off of Victoria. So, and then Glasgow decided they would take it up.
Right.
But in order for Glasgow to have it, they had to adjust the number of sports. There are only 10 sports. They're only specific. They have a large para. One of the things that came out of our youth games was the importance of highlighting parasport.
Okay.
So, because we were the first to include para in the youth games.
Right.
So in Glasgow, they are increasing the number of, although it's the big games, they are increasing the number of para disciplines.
Nice.
So that will be going forward full force, I think, in all the games going forward. So that is definitely something that we ourselves, I think Trinidad and Tobago is working hard at. I think that in come Easter Grand Prix, cycling will have para in the cycling velodrome. That's something to look forward to. Nice. So I'm just saying that is included. I'm getting a little razor pause.
Yeah,
because
that's fantastic.
Because think of it that all of our physically challenged individuals or persons here in Trinidad and Tobago can now have something to look forward to, and consider that they too can be a para-athlete.
That's fantastic.
Just putting that out there.
Well, I knew there would be something, but I'm happy to hear that it's such a significant change,
and I think
it's already
it all came from that. You see, just opening the door and having one athlete. Now look at where we're going to have. We have a road in front of us that we could definitely.
Are we ready for that road, though? Because when we talk about any sort of sporting entity and games, we always have to talk about the prep, we talk about the challenges.
Yes,
how ready are we?
I think there are a lot of facets that have to go into that. I mean, to say not only equipment and facilities and accessibility, but I'm also talking about coaching, certification, and that sort of thing. Because in order to relate with these different-minded people, because although they're physically challenged, they're also, they think differently. Obviously, we have to think and do the things that are appropriate to them.
Right.
So, yeah, there are a lot of changes that will come. But that comes with the whole plan.
Now, you've given us some insight into that plan over the years, every single time that you check in with us. In terms of other developments or other ways that we could support, just remind us. We know the numbers and the physical support being there makes a difference. But are there any other ways that we, the people, the non-athletes, can support as we get ready?
In terms of the King's Battle Relay this week, show up. You know, we will also be visiting schools because the schools caravan was something that we did in Trinidad 2023, and that would be carrying on tomorrow in Trinidad and on Friday in Tobago. And you know, the important thing is let's start looking at our plastic usage. You know, just heard the lady a little while ago about the whole thing about chemicals. So the whole idea is that we really need to start look at our usage of plastics, or collect it and recycle. You know what I mean? The places are there to be delivered, dropped off. You know, so let's reduce the amount of plastics in our oceans. That's a simple request.
And as you rightfully say, a simple request that we can take you up on.
Yes, and the sporting fraternity is involved in our environment. Everyone has to live by it. The sun is getting hotter, as everyone knows, and the athletes have to
persevere through that
train.
sun.
Exactly. So
there is the least we can definitely do. But we do look forward to more of the activities that will be surrounding the King's Battle Pass, so that we can head over to the website, social media, Imagine, for the full schedule and more activities.
Correct.
Nice. And so when we will see the Baton next, or when we will see the Baton next?
Oh, today? All 74, let me mention that all 74 nations, when they're completed, will have their battle in Glasgow in the opening ceremony. So think about that whole line of difference, and you know, it will be fantastic to look at all
the visuals that we'll be able to experience and live vicariously through those visuals, as we can't physically head to Glasgow, but we will have a part of ourselves there for sure. Hopefully medals will be how we participate, but for now, thank you very much, Diane, for giving us an update and joining us here on our morning show, and great job on what is a beautiful part of Trinidad, again, in the sporting fraternity under your helm, so to speak. Of course, no stranger to the Our Morning Show, Diane Anderson, the president of the TNT Olympic Committee and the Commonwealth Games Association, giving us an update on the King's Battle Relay celebrations as they continue, and you do your part to help the environment and our sporting fraternity all at once.